George Russell fires back at Ferrari and Hamilton with insane Chinese GP claim. What do you say when Lewis Hamilton steals your lead on the very first lap? Ferrari blocks a rule change to protect their own advantage, and then both red cars spend the entire Grand Prix trying to crash into each other. And you still walk away as championship leader? Well, if you're George Russell, you say, exactly what's on your mind. And what he said about Ferrari and his former teammate at the Chinese Grand Prix is something nobody in the paddock expected. Strap in, because the 2026 Formula One season just got spicy. George Russell arrived in Shanghai having already claimed a sprint victory at the Chinese Grand Prix, finishing ahead of Ferrari's Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton, following an early frenetic battle for the lead and surviving a late safety car. But let's rewind, because the story of this weekend goes way deeper than just the results. Going into China, Russell was already F1's championship leader after winning the season-opening Australian Grand Prix. But nobody, and I mean nobody, was under any illusion that this was going to be a straightforward weekend. Despite a seemingly dominant performance in Australia, Russell himself acknowledged that Ferrari's strategy decision not to pit. Either race leader Charles Leclerc or Lewis Hamilton under a virtual safety car made the margin of victory look greater than it actually was. Charles gave me a proper fight in Melbourne, and he was ahead of me for the VSC, said Russell. If he pitted under the VSC, I don't think we would have finished 1-2. That is George Russell, the points leader, openly telling the world, Ferrari might have won the first race of the season if they'd made the right call. That's the level of honesty, and the level of threat, we're dealing with here. Russell fires back on the start procedure controversy, but here's where it really gets explosive. Before the Chinese Grand Prix weekend even got going, Russell dropped a bombshell that sent shockwaves through the paddock. Russell accused Ferrari of blocking the FIA from making changes to Formula One's starting procedure, calling the Italian team selfish and a little bit silly for doing so. He told Sky Sports F1, "Unfortunately, sometimes when you're trying to make changes for the good of the sport, if a team has a competitive edge, like Ferrari at the moment with the race starts, they wouldn't wish to see anything changing." That is a direct, named accusation at Ferrari. And this isn't just paddock gossip, there's a technical explanation behind it. The controversy centers around the behavior of the new 2026 power units and battery management before the race start. Multiple drivers reported arriving on the grid with little electrical energy remaining after the formation lap, leaving them without electrical boost once the race began. Russell explained that the issue stemmed from the energy harvesting limit applied during the formation lap, which can affect drivers differently depending on where they start on the grid. So, when I got halfway around the track, I could no longer charge the battery. I had no power to do proper burnouts, he said. Yet Russell claimed the FIA is willing to make changes to address the issue, but cannot do so without the backing of a supermajority of teams, something he says is currently being blocked. Ferrari had been exploiting this loophole to make blistering starts, and they had zero incentive to let the FIA fix it. Russell called it out publicly. That is an insane claim from the championship leader, essentially accusing the most famous team in Formula One of playing political games to protect a competitive edge rather than acting in the sport's best interest. The sprint race battle with Hamilton. Now, onto the track action, and it was absolutely breathtaking. Hamilton zipped around the slow-moving Antonelli and then passed Norris through the opening corners, before shocking Russell with an audacious move around the outside of Turn 8. And the former teammates then engaged in a thrilling contest with several swaps of position until Russell eventually made a pass stick on lap 5. In the early stages, it was all about Russell and Hamilton as they exchanged the lead 6 times inside the opening 5 laps in Shanghai, with the former eventually prevailing to continue his flawless start to the new season. After the sprint, Russell was typically disarming in his praise, but the compliment came wrapped in a sharp edge. "Lewis did an amazing job in the early laps. He caught me off guard, but that's 20 years' experience, so I've still got a little bit to learn there," said Russell. Translation: he's 27, he's the championship leader, and he's already saying he's catching up to one of the greatest drivers of all time. That is quiet confidence bordering on a statement of intent. But meanwhile, Hamilton reflected on the sprint. "Their speed on the straights is a little too much. I put up a good fight, but I killed my front left. It is just a much better car, and I have been a part of developing it, so I'm just much happier. I was in the lead at one point, so to finish third is not great, so I will try harder tomorrow." Hamilton admitting the Mercedes is simply a better car, from inside a Ferrari garage, is one of the most remarkable quotes of the early 2026 season. The Grand Prix. Chaos, collisions, and Russell's bold confession. Sunday's race took everything to another level. Kimi Antonelli claimed his maiden Formula One victory in the Chinese Grand Prix, beating Mercedes teammate George Russell, as Ferrari's Lewis Hamilton claimed his first Grand Prix podium for the Scuderia after a thrilling intra-team battle. But Russell's race was a masterclass in calm under pressure, and his post-race comments were nothing short of sensational. After the race, Russell admitted he was patiently anticipating Hamilton and Leclerc to have each other off the road. "Well, I was just waiting for the two of them to collide, and they somehow didn't. It was some of the most aggressive racing I've seen for a while," he told media. Russell literally admitted he expected two Ferrari drivers to take each other out. The fact that he said it publicly, with a straight face, while leaving Shanghai as the championship leader, tells you everything about the mental fortitude of this man right now. And he was also candid about where Ferrari holds an edge. Ferrari are definitely very quick. They're quicker in the corners than us, slower than us on the straight. So it just made it a little bit challenging, Russell acknowledged. "We need to take care of the guys in red as well. They were super fast off the line," he added, referencing Hamilton and Leclerc's race starts as a genuine danger. The bigger picture: Russell's insane championship claim. So here's the insane claim that frames this entire story. After 2 rounds of racing, winning Australia, winning the sprint in China, and finishing second in the Chinese Grand Prix, Russell issued a stark warning that surprised nearly everyone. "I think the general view from the two of us is that it can be quite a close fight between ourselves and Ferrari. I don't think everybody expected us to walk away with the race on Sunday. My view is that a lot of teams didn't optimize qualifying. And I think we did a really great job of qualifying," Russell said. ESPN. And then, looking further ahead, he went even further. "I think right now as Mercedes we have a small advantage over Ferrari and a good advantage over everyone else, but these things change so quickly," Russell told media ahead of the Japanese Grand Prix. Formula 1. The rulebook tweaks set to come into effect on June 1st are centered around how compression ratios are measured, which puts Mercedes's contentious power unit advantage under significant threat. This gave Mercedes 7 races to maximize its current edge, but with the Bahrain and Saudi Arabian Grand Prix cancelled, the advantage window has now shrunk to just 3 races, with 2 already run. Motorsport Week. In other words, Russell is dominating. But he's publicly telling his own team they're racing against the clock. That is the insane claim. Not blind confidence, calculated urgency. "As it stands, we have the upper hand," he said. "But we can't take that for granted because obviously we know some things are going to be changing in a couple of months. The upgrades are massive at the moment, so yeah, let's see where it falls out." After 2 rounds of the 2026 Formula 1 season, George Russell holds the championship lead with 51 points, just ahead of teammate Antonelli on 47, with Leclerc on 34 and Hamilton on 33. This is not a runaway title fight. It is a 4-way knife fight at the very top of Formula 1's most radical regulation era in history. George Russell is winning the battles on track, winning the war of words off it, and somehow managing to sound both dominant and humble at the same time. Ferrari are blocking rule changes. Hamilton is admitting the Mercedes is faster. Leclerc and Hamilton are nearly taking each other out every Sunday, and Russell is standing in the middle of all of it, leading the championship, watching it all unfold, and loving every second. The 2026 Formula 1 season is just getting started. And if the Chinese Grand Prix is anything to go by, we haven't seen anything yet.